Do you remember one instance of something that either Dave Meltzer or Wade Keller or somebody wrote that got brought to your attention and it created a fire, so to speak?
No, not for me, because again, I kind of recognized what Dave was from the get-go. Um, Other than frustration and disappointment in people that were obviously using Dave to better their position, it was so easy for me. I mean, sometimes it was so obvious to me, and not just Dave. Back in the day, Wade Keller,
Right.
you could tell by the phrasing of some of the stories that they wrote where it came from. They were repeating in writing what someone had told them, and the phraseology sometimes would often give it away. So it was kind of a joke backstage. We or in the offices, it was like we could read something that was, pissed us off or got our attention. It's like, okay, which one of these clowns leaked that? Who's talking to Dave? I mean, it was a game.
Do you ever narrow that down to anybody in particular?
In terms of being able to identify,
Yes.
look, Terry Taylor and I are friends now. We've, water under the bridge. But Terry was talking to the dirt sheets all the time. Gary Juster was talking to the dirt sheets all the time. Jim Barnett, oh boy, he lived for the dirt. It was the first thing Jim would say to me every morning. My boy, step into the office. Let's talk some dirt. They lived for Gary Juster and Jim Barnett probably spent more hours comparing dirt notes than they did anything else while they were working in WCW. So some of it was really obvious. Talent was even more obvious because you could tell what was by what we were reading and what somebody was negotiating for. There was just too much information that
Right.
otherwise it wouldn't have been there. So it was, it wasn't difficult in some cases.
You dealt with agents like Barry Bloom back then and various other Howard Hughes. Do you think any of them ever went to Dave, Wade, or do you think it was just more talent based because agents didn't really have that capability back then?
I think Barry Bloom I don't have a lot of respect for Barry Bloom. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
He lost, and we were friends at one point, and he did something that had nothing to do with dirt sheets, so I'm going to leave it out. But he very, very low, very sleazy, and I told him the minute it happened, the minute I found out about it, I said, "That's it.
Yeah.
I never want to see your face. I never want to hear your voice. I never want to see your face. Do not ever bring me a piece of talent or an idea ever again." We haven't spoken since. Agents, I understand it. If we had not have been friends, I would not have reacted the same way.
Sure.
But when you confide in somebody or you give someone access that you would otherwise not give them, and we had a mutual understanding about that. And that's where it went south. Is he didn't live up to his end of the bargain. And in return, I gave him access much more than I would have given any other agent because
Right.
we were friends and I thought I could trust him. I wouldn't do that. First of all, I never did it again. I would never do it again. But that situation aside, I expect agents to manipulate the media
Of course.
to better their clients. That's their jobs. Even an agent should have some integrity, but at the end of the day, they're going to do what they got to do to make their clients as much money as they can, because that way they're making as much money as they can. And it is what it is. It's the nature of the beast.
Triple H recently had an interview where he said the internet isn't real. It is a bunch of loud people screaming, and it's not part of the culture and things they worry about. I'm going to ask this question to you, but I'm going to phrase it differently. We watched a major shift in creative last year With Cody Rhodes, The Rock, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins happened in front of us because of the backlash that happened with taking Cody out of that spot and putting The Rock in the spot. It's a year later. Things are different. Things are a little bit more under control. Does the online discourse sometimes ring a bell for them to change creative?
Well, I certainly can't speak for them. I kind of doubt it. But I think does it ring a bell? If you mean by that, does it get their attention? Of course, as it should. But it's one indicator. It's one thing out of maybe a potential 10 things that one would have to analyze. I would spend much more time analyzing social media commentary not related to dirt sheets, because again, you have two different worlds here. You've just got wrestling fans or AEW, well, not even AEW fans because they're primarily dirt sheet fans, but you've got, the general WWE audience. Absolutely a percentage of them. I don't know how big a percentage. I don't know if anybody does. It'd be nice to know, but I don't think anybody does really. There's going to be a percentage of them, let's just say for argument 10%, because I think
Sure.
that's about the number, that are going to be dirt sheet fans, and they're going to make the kind of noise that the internet wrestling community makes, which is pretty low frequency, picking apples off the ground kind of mentality. It's just making noise for the sake of making noise. And if you really think about it, at the internet wrestling community level, and I'm relating this to what Triple H said, because I think I agree with him, and I think I know what he was trying to say, is if you look at the internet wrestling community as a whole, recognize that 10% of them are going to be that voice that's just negative and nasty and tribal and this and that. And just what they're really doing is saying ridiculous things that they know people are going to respond to. They don't care if they respond to it favorably or negatively, as long as they respond, because what they're really striving for is attention. Again, this is low frequency mentality. These people don't have great jobs. They don't have great things going on in their lives. They're not going to a great school. They're not great students. They're just hanging on to the grease because that's what they relate to. And that 10% of the audience that loves playing in the grease are going to keep it. They're going to keep it going. They feed off of it because it gets attention for them that way. The other 90% of the social media audience or the internet wrestling audience, it's not a dirt sheet centric part of the audience, are going to give you reactions. And sometimes they're valid. It's kind of like a really unorganized focus group. You just have to learn how to read it.